this is important for me as well as it is for you. When you come up against a problem, what do you do about it? So let's look at protocols a minute. And I want you to realize that you have to understand causative factors if you want to understand what you need to get well, don't you think? If you don't understand what's causing your problem, how do you understand to fix it? Well, then why do you go to medical doctors? Because the bottom line to this, except for emergencies and things like that, I get that. But when you have symptomologies and you go, most of this is unknown. As most of you have found out by now, you've visited over and over and over again in multiple medical doctors, some of you multiple naturopaths. So the unconsciousness on this planet deals with the acid side of chemistry, and this is true with chemists, as we've discussed a great many times, and I've had chemists as clients. And the problem with chemists is they assume alkalosis is a state of acidosis, and if they just move these two, shuffle them around, they'll have all the answers pop into them. All the answers will awaken them. But they instead continue to use this insane look at biochemistry. You know, not all of biochemistry and chemistry is accurate. You got to realize theories abound are sciences. And sometimes people tout things as if they're factual when it's actually a theory of theirs. So you have to be real careful as an individual to disconcern through these things, and it's very difficult to disconcern these things. So what I'm sitting here to do is give you an overview, a jigsaw puzzle picture of how your body works and how it interacts with the magnetics and chemistry of this planet. With that, then, you can understand how you fix things. And then you'll understand why regenerative detoxification is your key, your golden key that unlocks all things miserable. And that includes emotional issues and mental issues, because these are non-physical issues, controlled, however, by physical endocrine glands or chakra centers. So it's important to understand that if you have a symptom, most symptoms, when you look at chemistry, base, acid. Base is feminine in nature, acids are male in nature. Acids are aggressive and what we call in chemistry, corrosive. Right? You ladies use acetates or acetones to strip your fingernail polish off. We use it to clean the old shellac off of inside of motors, because acids strip. And because acids are so inflammatory, so corrosive, they burn your electrolytes up so fast that, and especially those that are eating acid-forming diets, which means your foods are predominantly acid-forming, meaning you're not putting high electrolyte foods in to buffer all these systemic, cellular, metabolitic acid waste from the cells. Remember, your body has cells that create the structures and create the consciousness, and then you have the fluids that feed and clean them. So you must understand the lymphatic system in all ways. And this isn't a video for the lymphatic system, this is a video for protocols, but you have to understand the lymphatic system to understand why the protocols. So you have a sewer system in your body the medical doctors do not understand. Remember, the University of West Virginia just discovered the lymphatic system in their brain 2.5 years ago, maybe 3. So they do not understand. And there's a society of lymphologists, International Society of Lymphologists, and they don't understand what the trueness of the lymphatic system's for. Think waste removal. Think waste removal. Why do you have an exhaust system to your car? What do we do with burnt chemistry in factories? What do we do with the byproducts of combusted or ionized chemistry? Not so much ionized, but combusted, and you know, the whole, any process is going to yield you byproducts. You know, like vitamin C is a byproduct, believe it or not. CoQ10, byproduct. All these are byproducts of the Krebs cycles and things. And you know what? These are just the cycles of metabolism, digestion, etc. You need to understand what you need to eat. And the reason you're eating them. Because you have to understand inside your body you have a whole bunch of cells that make up the consciousness of everything, including the organs, the glands, etc., etc. But you must be able to get energy to those cells and remove the waste that they produce by burning this energy. And those are called metabolitic wastes, and those are acidic in nature. Here's an example. Forget to change your diaper on your newborn baby for a few hours and go change it and look at the rash on your baby's bottom. Why? Acids. You're supposed to pee acids out of your body, not your electrolytes. So your urine should always be acidic in nature, not too acidic, because that's the job of the bacterium in your lymph nodes, is to break down these metabolitic waste from the cells, which are about 3 pH, up to about 6 pH. 5.5 to 6 pH. Or, if I said this many times, if you did not have bacterium in your lymph nodes doing this for you, you'd be peeing on your knees. Because 3 pH is Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Gatorade, Dr. Pepper. They all move between 2.9 and 3.1, somewhere in that range. Hotter than hell. Burn you. Take a sip of Coke in your mouth and hold it. Burn you. And that's what they did on the baby's bottom, and that's what they're doing inside of you, and you can feel the burn. However, it's translated through the nervous system as pain. So you have to look at that and understand that when you're in pain, you're on the acid side of chemistry, and the system that deals with the acid side of chemistry is the great lymphatic system that no one understands well. I think our side of life here understands it the most. And a big area that people don't understand is the connection of the kidneys and the skin to this gigantic sewer system. Remember, interstitially, that's around the cells. Lymph is 80% of that fluid. Blood's only 20%. Does that make that a huge deal? So you have to understand your lymphatic system is a cholesterol-based or lipid-based system. When people are having cholesterol problems, what system are they having problems with? The lymphatic system, and acidosis. So this whole process that you're on in this journey to Wellville is moving from the acid negative side of chemistry to the positive female healing, enhancing electrolyte side of chemistry. This is a base dominant planet. If it was an acid-dominant planet, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Even, I've said this many times before, 50-50 is not even acceptable in the state of wellness. Dominance toward the base side. And that's because the acid side is so aggressive. So if you have fibromyalgia, what system is down? Blood? Not at all. Lymph. This is systemic acidosis. Your kidneys, right kidney controls your right drainage from your sinus to your toes. Your left kidney controls your left side sinuses to your toes. You have two bodies that drain separately. 2 different blood pressures, 2 different blood sugars. So, when you're going after your health, you're generally acidic, and you're going after that. Very few people live in alkalosis. Most of the journey is in acidosis. And so, acidosis creates a cationic environment. And this is an environment of agglomulation, dehydration, where everything starts sticking and becoming hard. Notice if you guys have tumors, how they can become hard as a rock. Acids harden you and destroy you. Lupus, Lyme's, these medical doctors are amazing to me. They give you antibiotics to sell the product, and they have nothing to do with that. You want bacteria in your body if you have these problems, because they'll get rid of systemic acidosis. So you've got to get with what's going on here with your body, the lymph system, how it works, and understand that your kidneys and your skin are the eliminative organs of your metabolitic waste. And that's why you have 3 kidneys. It is essential to eliminate metabolitic waste, and I don't know, there's controversy, but let's say you have anywhere from 50 to 100 trillion cells. And they all eat and poop. And when you can't get rid of the poop no more, your diet has been full of proteins and high starches, you start to lose kidney filtration. Here's an example. Pee in a jar. We talk about this all the time. If it's clear, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. How are you getting rid of your acid acid waste from the cells. And they'll show up in your urine as white sediment or mucus threads. More and more people are seeing the mucus threads because their body is getting so full of mucus from mucus-forming proteins. Mucus-forming proteins are proteins that are abrasive or foreign protein, we'll call it, to the mucosa or to the human element. That's dairy products of all types, that sort of thing, except human milk. But human milk can become corrosive and acidic. If the mother's eating acid-forming foods, her fluids become acid-forming. Your blood would become acid-forming too, but if your blood gets acidic, you have about 3 minutes to die. You know, you can go suck on your car exhaust if you want to pass real quick. Give you about 3 minutes. And that's important to understand, that man is living on the acid side of chemistry, and the medical and all these physicians are promoting it. Not telling you to get away from it, they're promoting it. These medical doctors are promoting high-protein diets. That's the first way to crash your butt. When you're in pain and you eat protein, you'll be in more pain. Let me tell you, we prove this year in and year out, because pain is an acid experience. And you've got to correct that. So how do we correct this systemic lymph system that's so backed up, that's dehydrated us, and is locked in place and not filtering anymore? How do you deal with that? Well, the very first thing on your protocols is your diet. You must move from a cooked food, high-protein type of diet to no protein and living, vibrant foods that most of the other animals on this planet eat. You've got to lose this idea of proteins, because it is a negative force idea that's locking you guys into hellbill. And they're continuing to promote that. Lying. So the proteins are a big problem for us. And we just keep eating them and eating them and eating. And as long as you do, you will always suffer. Amino acids is the order of the day, and you'll get those through non-protein sources of fruits, berries, melons, and veggies. So it is obvious that man is the only species that cooks and processes and destroys its foods before it eats it. So it's obvious by now in today's time that you understand raw foods are number one, uno. And I still find, after I've been 45 years here as a raw foodist, a fruitarian, kind of back and forth. And I thought it was bad then. It's so much better, no question. But there's still a lot of humans that have no idea even how to eat. They don't have any idea how to even eat. So, you must move your diet to a raw food diet like all the other animals on the planet. And then you haven't messed with the chemistry. So the creator that created that created all things, created the food source for all things. Man comes in and says, you know what? I moved from my island home into the paleo homes, and I can't survive well because I'm designed as an islander, a primate-ish, and yet I moved into hostile northern climates. How do I survive? So I kill animals. I have to preserve them. I have to can and cook, so I just literally destroy the chemistry of my foods. So how do you get well doing that? So when the Eskimos were discovered, remember their average age was only 40-some years old. Too much protein. You have to be aware of this because, man, it's going down real quick. But a lot of you guys that have come to us and that have just turned your world around so well, it's so beautiful. I love all of you guys. You're so good and really get this. So raw foods. Now looking at raw foods, veggie eaters or are we fruit eaters? Take it, get a big table, put half of it with veggies and half of it with fruits, and then invite the first grade, second grade, and third grade of your local school to come in and have lunch. See which ones are gone first. I guarantee you it won't be the veggies. Those kids will swap that fruit up like nobody's business. I love it. Tastes good. Kale, I need a cardboard. Because we're a refined species. Your herbivores have multiple stomachs and excessively long GI tracts to deal with the kale syndrome. So, you got to get out of that way of looking at chemistry sometimes and understand what types of food was designed for the human element, and that is fruits, berries, and melons. Well, when you're trying to get well, you want to move to the foods that you're designed to eat, number one. You want to be foods that don't take excessive digestive energy, because what you're trying to do is take your energy that you would normally be processing heavy proteins and crap and turn it to healing yourself. When you understand that, and you can understand that through nature, because nature will fast you when you get so sick. It'll take the desire for all food away from you. So jump nature on that, and you can go on a fruit diet and still hydrate and clean the body out, because we need hydration because of the high acidosis creating dehydration. The average person is burning up inside and yet dehydrated and cold. So when you start on these protocols, the first thing to consider is diet. Doesn't matter what you're used to. Doesn't matter if you're suffering, you have to change your consciousness. If you sit there and say, I can't do it then suffer all you want. I don't care. Because I only care for those that care for themselves, that need to get well. But I want you to realize that diet is key, number one. What do we do with the herbs? How do we set up protocols for ourselves? And it's real simple, because your focus is always the same. If you're diagnosed by a medical doctor with cancer, what system do you have down? What system is tumors and acidosis and all this from? The destruction of cells. What system is that from? The blood? No. That's obvious. You wouldn't be alive. Well, there's only one other system. The lymphatic system. And man needs to understand this precious, amazing system. Because when it don't work, that's the whole world of diseases that the medical doctors made up. When the lymph system's down, it's down systemically. It's down from head to toe. When you lose filtration from any kidney, that whole side of your body's down. That's why you can feel more problems on one side of the body than the other. So once you get your kidneys filtering, you'll see it in your urine. We showed these and talked about these a great deal. All this sediment in the urine. A must-see. See, we got to get out of this pseudoscience of medical thinking, pharmaceutical, world of treatment of symptoms, and this ridiculous gene therapy. They don't understand a thing about genetics, I'll tell you that. You're only a God person to understand true genetics and what consciousness is and how that is moved through genetic cells. You can't do that. You're flipping out ridiculous things like you don't have the gene to detoxify. That's one of their latest ones. Oh, you guys can't detoxify. You don't have the gene, MHR, whatever, bullcrap. It'd be wise of them to back way up from their intellectualism and take a look at everything holistically our way, and then go back and see if they can apply what they're doing to what they now know. No. When you say autoimmune, MS, all this is autoimmune, you know immediately these guys don't know a thing they're talking about. They don't know what's causing it. But when you say autoimmune, what system is your problem in? The immune system. Oh, the immune system. Wait a minute. The immune system. I don't see that anywhere. Where's the immune system? Well, I got immune cells, but where's the immune system? It's the gigantic lymphatic system, guys. That's your main immune system. You've got some immune cells in your blood, but most of your immune, even the blood dumps itself, its waste, and its proteins into what? The lymphatic system. What organ does that mostly, besides the kidneys? The spleen. The spleen. That's what the spleen is for. It refurbishes and cleans the blood into the lymph system. Yeah. What I discovered maybe 40 years ago, going all raw, could just about clean up everything. But not in today's world. We have reached the point of chronic and degenerative issues. And it takes a bit to reverse these sort of things. And we've told you some of our MS and Lou Gehrig's case has been loss of voice, loss of movement, distorted limbs, coming right up and out, and singing and talking again. Absolutely. And you can see that each and every time. And it shouldn't be strange to you, because understand what acids will do to you: cripple you up, rob the calcium out of you, and put you in fetal position. And base chemistry will hydrate you and bring you back to normal. So, protocols. What do we do when we wake up to a problem? We start to get it. Now, lymph system's down. I'm not filtering. I need to hydrate. I need to change my diet. I need to get into the fruits, because fruits are astringent and fast hydrators. They don't create excessive digestive energy, so you have a lot more energy to heal and repair, and full of flavonoids, which are major healers. So that's essential. Now let's look at protocols. How simple protocols are. All right? Look at the human form. All this, think of the body as a food processing plant. And so you have what's called the GI tract. Basically, GI is gastro, but actually from mouth to anus. You start digesting immediately in the mouth your carbohydrates. You don't have no digestion of proteins in your mouth whatsoever. Your protein don't start breaking down to hit the stomach and acid. And this is why mono eating is important, because when you mix a protein with a starch or a carbohydrate is a base chemistry digestive experience, and a protein is an initial acid hit. You mix an acid with a base and it neutralizes each other. That's ionization. That's this whole movement of chemistry and electrons and all of this stuff. It's how life breathes here, magnetically and chemically. It's moving through those two poles, whether you call it ionization in chemistry or magnetism in electronics. Who cares? So, looking at the human form, we know that the lymphatic system has the skin involved and the kidneys involved. All right, so the kidneys. Let's look at the kidneys for a minute. You got one kidney on each side. Some of you have 3 kidneys, some of you only have 1. And never give up your kidney to someone. That is the biggest mistake you could ever give. Allow people to repair and fix their kidney. Medical have gotten people so dumbed down. Yeah, let's just take some of your kidney, Mom, and put it into your son. This is one lady called me one time. I said, "You're nuts. It's the same genetic tree. You don't give a genetic weak kidney to a genetic weak kidney." I mean, the awareness is not much there. This is ridiculous. And you can rebuild kidneys. You can rebuild your kidneys. I don't care what stage you're in. You can rebuild those kidneys. Most people don't filter at all anyway. Most people have kidney problems anyway. How do you tell? Look at the bags, the dark circles under the eyes, lower back. Swelling, redness, skin conditions, you name it. So, kidneys, adrenal glands control the kidneys, and a whole bunch more. Okay, and look at the skin. The skin is controlled more by the thyroid gland. Body temperature. So, when we look at the lymphatic system, we can say lymph fluid, lymph vessels, lymph nodes, kidneys, skin, adrenal glands, and thyroid glands. Glands. One on each side. Your bilateral beings sharing a common gut and heart. And digestive organs, stuff like that, of course. But you have 2 independent sides to yourself. Interesting, huh? So, obviously, your first thought is to go after that lymphatic system if you have tumors, if you're in pain, if you have fibromyalgia, lupus, Lyme, doesn't matter. They blame it all on microbes. And here's one thing you must learn. All the medical doctors have to stand on is microbes, pathogens, or autoimmune. And recommending the very diet that's causing the people to have these problems. And that is what this planet has to wake up to. Because if it don't, a lot of humans are going down. I mean really going down fast. You have someone walk into your office and you put them on, and naturopaths are getting stupid too. You're coming in and you have clients in pain, tumors, and you put them on high protein diets. You're killing your people. You're not being a healer, you're killing your people. That's how they got there in the first place. You have to look at what you bring in chemistry. You can't ignore that. Cause and effect. That rules creation. And you have to learn this. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. Jesus just said you reap what you sow. Buddha had it real quick. Karma, baby. All the same stuff. And very, very real. So, you have to learn that. You have to learn that your actions are creating what you're experiencing. A lot of people blame everything external to them. You're the creator of your own world, I hate to say it. Now, so your number one focus in botanicals are going to be kidneys, adrenal glands. You're going to make sure the skin is covered and the thyroid is covered, right? Yes. All right, so in herbal formulas, we're going to make sure you're on a kidney formula. Well, you know what? We learned that the people's kidneys are so bad, we put 2 kidney formulas in there. We always look at our basic kit. If you look at our basic detox kit, our for number 1 and 2 weeks, you'll see our focus. Now, the focus in that kit are the kidneys, the lymphatic system itself, the endocrine glands, which is the adrenals, the thyroid, the pituitary, all the endos. We're after the liver gallbladder, which the same herbs for the liver gallbladder are for the skin. So we're going into your digestive systems, and we're also going after the skin simultaneously. How beautiful. Thank you. So, and we also go after deworming, defungals, not debacterial. You don't want to kill bacterium. You have put yourself in hellville by doing that. You have to have bacteria. It's how we get vitamins. So it's essential that you keep your bacterium in your body. And you will reculture bacterium depending upon the very nature of your culturing medium, as we call it. Or your terrain, as one guy wrote in a book. Your inner terrain. All right. That's essential. Or you ain't getting anywhere well, Bill. You can't just go on a diet and think you're going to get well today, because we are advanced in our weaknesses genetically. We need those food sources that were set up to deal with these genetic weaknesses, and there's only one of them. We call them herbs, botanicals. And vegetables is a part of that. When you're eating vegetables, you're eating herbs, guys. It's just part of the kingdom. All berries, all fruit, all vegetables are here individually for a specific purpose. Each has their own individual consciousness and their own individuality of why they are present. So you want to use herbs to get in here and get things going. You got the diet. The diet then will start astringing, hydrating. Everything that's locked hard becomes soft and pliable again. You start going from being hard and locked and twisted and curved to opening up like a flower. I don't care how advanced in a wheelchair you are. You get 100% raw and 100% fruits, berries, and melons, and you will watch your body unfold. Especially when you're going after those tissues that are down in your body. All right? So, what other system do you want to go after? The digestive system. Because I want you to remember these 4 things. Digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination. These are the 4 phases that the human body must go through to be well. So we look at digestion. Gallbladder, pancreas. The pancreas is your main digestive organ, including the pancreatic duct. So these all have to be healthy. All right? Liver, gallbladder, pancreas. All right? Well, you're going through the canal, the tree trunk. You know, these are just branches off the tree. Your liver, gallbladder, your pancreas, branches off the tree, this trunk of the tree, which is the GI tract. Man's GI tract is so bad that I knew a surgeon back in the early 70s that only saw one healthy colon, and that was in a 4-year-old dissection at Harvard, he told me. And that's back in the early 70s. So we are serious. And of course, this has always been the number 1 place for cancers for generations. Now I think it's lung, but it has always been GI tract cancers. And that's because this is a food processor and not meant to process proteins and dairy foods from other animals. No way. These type of proteins are foreign and very, very mucus forming. Any of you guys on milk and dairy products, there's no way you don't have sinus or any type of congestion, bronchial or lungs, because that's extremely, the dairy proteins are the worst in terms of mucosic responses. So you have to take herbs to go after that gut. Some people are constipated. Some people have constipation. But the biggest problem man faces is malabsorption. So whether you have IBS, Crohn's, I don't care what you call it, and how bad and how thick your wall is, no matter how bad you are, you can pull yourself back. But you must get with you, and you be the one to pull yourself back. Don't rely on anybody, including us. You want to know what you're doing. You want to know what the systems are down. You want to know because you're the entity. You're the one that should be controlling your world. So you want to power up. Get your power back, your strength back as an individual. Don't take the crap that you're taking if you're in that sort of situation. If you're a female, don't be afraid of the male. Power up. Get your feminine. You're the beautiful side of life. You're the love side of life. And this planet needs the feminine principle to come out of being suppressed by the male principle. That is the base chemistry that's so vital to this planet. This planet is becoming extremely acidic. Look at all this big thing about pollution and in the environment, right? What side of chemistry are they talking about? The air is getting acidic. Why? Look at all the car exhausts. Carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. These are all high acidic gases. And our body produces a lot of them too. You'll watch, you'll see gases emanate from your skin. So really what the world is of dis-ease is constipation interstitially and hopefully not intracellularly inside the cell, because you don't move your acids out of the cell, you'll destroy your cell, and that's called cancer cells, or in the old days we called it degenerative or atrophied cells. They just use the word cancer to scare you and think you've got something that no one can cure and you've got to follow them, that kind of crap. And what they do is send you worse to Hellville at a speedily pace. You can't treat something that you're creating inside of the body and building up acids. You can't treat that with pharmaceuticals to suppress acids. That's what kills you. Can't do that. So a good detox program, again, is going to start with that first kit. You're going after your kidneys. You're going after your endocrine glands, pituitary, thyroids, parathyroids. Now, that's a very mild formula. Very mild. That's why you see us picking up glandulars. It goes after the adrenal glands, things like this, but it's a mild formula. But it's enough to pick things up temporarily, because you need the next round, you need to kick up the pace. This is just a, hello, let me get things started. There's only one lymphatic formula in that kit. And that's because people are so agglomerated that when you start trying to move lymph too aggressively in kidneys that are closed, tumors can grow, pain can come in, things like this, because you're pulling acids to a totally dormant area, and so it's just all acidic even more. It exacerbates acidosis, like chemotherapy on cancer. That's acid on top of acid thinking. That'll take you into Hellville and either back again or into another world. So you always go after the GI tract. Remember, stomach and bowel formula. So we have stomach and bowel 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0 is for people that have diarrhea and want to firm up. Number 1 is for people that I just want to get in and pull out, clean the mucosa, get all this sulfur and stuff off the wall, start enhancing the function of. Number 1. And you're moving every day okay? Number 1. Number 2 has a pinch of my favorite Cascara Sagrada. And someone tells you that's a bad one, they're not herbalists. They don't know what it is. They never worked in clinical settings. Let me tell you, worked 40 years with herbs. But the little bit of Cascara Sagrada gives you a little hepatic and pancreatic bump, but it's gentle and non-addictive. You get into the sennas, the buckthorns, the turkey rhubarbs, now you're into purgatives. Now you're into addictive herbs. The Cape aloes, stuff like this. I only have a minor bit of that in my number 5. Because you got Crohn's, you got things so bad where you only have spaces this big for stool to get through. So, I mean, it's, people got themselves in serious trouble. So you have all these different levels of bowel formulas, depending on your ability to move or not move, or move too much. You'll see also multiple kidney formulas and multiple lymphatic and lymph node formulas. And the reason for that is I like to shake it up a little bit, not get the body used to different herbal formulas, and shake it up a little bit. Some people have better luck on one formula over another. Everybody's different in consciousness and everything else, so it helps to shake up the tree a little bit. So let's break out of kit number weeks 1 and 2, and let's go into weeks 3 and 4 and on, okay? So let's take a condition. So you're going to follow that same rhythm of going after the kidneys, but this time you're going to add the adrenal glands specifically. Now, if you have real low blood pressure and you're fatigued all the time, and I will say this, you guys with high blood pressure is really low blood pressure. As soon as you start fixing your kidneys, your high blood pressure is going to walk right on down and go into low blood pressure. The question is how low, and remember the top number, systolic, is your adrenal glands. And that's a big deal because that's neurotransmitters that the adrenal glands produces for your autonomic nervous system, which runs everything, including the kidneys. Your autonomic nervous system runs all your organs and glands. And they're instructed through the parasympathetic at the back of the head at the cerebellum. And all that comes together in your stomach and solar plexus. So your nerve ganglia here is right in your solar plexus. Anybody ever hit you here? So there's a major nerve brain here, nerve center, and that's the autonomic nerve center. This is the central nerve center. You have 2 nervous systems in the human body. Let's say you have MS, Lou Gehrig's, Parkinson's, things like this. So you have brain lesions. So let's think about that one for a minute. What system has to be down? Noting that all the brain is a bunch of neural cells and with a blood flow and a lymph flow. Which system is down? The lymphatic system. Swelling, glaucoma, lymphatic pressure, rosacea, you name it. Headaches, this is all lymphatics. But up here you have the precious pituitary and your spiritual and rest gland of pineal. All right? So let's say that I'm looking at an MS case, or one that the medical doctor diagnosed with that. I know immediately that the autonomic is the big one. They might have brain lesions. And brain lesions is when acids are building up, and it doesn't have to be brain, it can be liver, it can be anywhere. When acids build up interstitial, the word interstitial, remember, is around cells. Cells stand alone, but are next to each other when an organ or gland, creating that organ or gland, held together by connective tissue. Now, the spaces between them is how we get to them, through the blood and through the lymph. We have to. You have to feed and clean all manufacturing entities. And each cell is a manufacturing entity, a processor even. So there's always acidic byproducts that must be dealt with. You can't dump all acids into the blood. So you want to take, for the MS, you're thinking about your nervous system's down. That's the adrenal glands. Every neurological case has weak adrenal glands. Low blood pressures. If it's high, that's only masking the problem. You'll see it low. Fatigue, chronicness, that's your adrenal glands. I'm tired, neurotransmitters. Your blood pressure is 100 over, 90 over. The lower the systolic, the top number is, the more you're like this. You can't poop well, you can't think well. That's the autonomic, low neurotransmitters. And we are at the chronic level of adrenal gland weaknesses today. Serious. Our kids are born with neurological problems. One vaccine shot and they're going into ADD, ADHD, or seizures. That's how weak their nervous systems are. And this is way beyond their level of thinking. So they don't know. They just clumsily go, here, we'll vaccinate your little baby with 20, 30 vaccines. These guys need to spend some time understanding truth and not killing our kids. It's insane what's going on in this planet. I tell you, this is why a lot of us are here helping. Because a man has to wake up a little bit here. We're getting, anyway. So, you want to go after the kidneys always. You want to go after your adrenal glands always. So, even from the first kit, you can add a glandular. A glandular is simply a tissue mostly bovine, which is a cow. We get ours from New Zealand, which have humane laws, but remember, in creation, nothing is killed or dies. You have to understand how things are made here and what consciousness is and where the reality is. Get that, and then you will lose that part of that, because we harvest humans here now. And we harvest because we haven't learned how to make well that which gets broken down from acidosis. We haven't learned that yet. You guys are, but most of the world hasn't. So remember, you're always going after the adrenal glands, and the glandulars are desiccated tissue. They're not cooked, they're desiccated, dehydrated, so to speak. So that is raw tissue without hormones or steroids. So its effect, which has been witnessed through radioactive isotopes, is that it enhances the function, and we see that. But what I've also seen is prolonged use of them de-enhances. You reach there in chemistry. We talked about this before. There's a saturation of chemistry as there is with magnetics. Has to be. You'll be flipping and flopping all day long between the two poles. Creation would not have stability with that. So you have to have a stabilization factor within chemistry and physics and things like this, and we do. Or the supreme one does. The Creator does. So you just have to understand that's part of that natural process. So understanding acidosis, the first thing you're doing is moving into an alkaline-forming diet. You're addressing the great lymphatic system, which now has become stagnant, and acids are just blowing back and burning you like not changing that diaper on the baby, except this is all inside of you, and your organs and glands are burning up. Extended years of this is what people are. Fibromyalgia, lupus, Lyme's, all this is extended systemic acidosis. It doesn't matter what factors. All arthritises are of the same mix. These are all of the same stuff. Different locations, different places, but systemic in nature. Then you get into the local ones. This is what makes medical doctors scratch their heads, because you have how many places in the human body to have symptomology? Oh, that's a Morse syndrome there. Yeah, they have problems with yeah. When you have those symptoms, that's a Morse syndrome. Don't know how to fix it, but we'll call those symptoms Morse syndrome. That's the sort of thing that's going on out here. And what it does, it only confuses them more, creates more demand on their intellectualism, which locks them away from spirituality, and creates confusion within the populace, when the cause is always the same. Take a look at what you're bringing up here. Remember that, what, fork over knives or something like that? Take a look at what you're bringing into you chemistry-wise. And fortunately, the average person doesn't understand that a piece of meat, that's healthy, right? Yeah, piece of dead tissue. How about the milks of someone that's been pasteurized, even raw milks, after age 1? Especially a cow's milk on humans, where we talked a lot about the chemistry comparisons of human mother's milk to goat and cow milks in terms of lipids, proteins, and carbohydrates. Hugely different. So your protocol, your herbal protocol, might want to have a couple of glandulars initially. You want to go after your adrenal glands. So I generally do, if you're real low, I put a 400 milligram glandular, a kit 1 and 2. Next, after those 2 weeks, I generally break you out into a month programs, month at a time. And so then after the 2 weeks, I got you into full bore detox. I've done Parasite G, and if you don't see any worms, flukes, or anything like that, I keep with Parasite M for the fungus in the people. But then I'm on to 2 kidney formulas, 2 lymphatic formulas. I'm going. Because some of you, like this lady that's in there with Attila right now, she has nowhere to go. She's got it all through, and if she doesn't address that system, she's done. You know, and that's a sad thing, because you can address that system and get your wellness and get everything done and still be here, finish out your karma, and by then you have learned all kinds of neat things, and you're free. Now, you'll see lymphatic and lymph node. Really, I just shook it up, because there's so many great lymphatic herbs on this planet, and herbs for the lymph nodes. I just shook it up into 2 different things. 1 tincture, 1 capsule. Notice I'm going back. There's so much malabsorption. What is malabsorption? When you're digesting your foods, what do you have to do next? You have to get the goodies inside. You have to absorb through that mucosa, through the bowel wall, into either the blood or lymphatic capillaries, correct? Like your fatty acids are not absorbed into the blood capillaries, are they? No, lymphatic capillaries. Thank you. Remember, think about the blood. It is alkaline. You cannot stress it or make it acidic, or death is imminent. And if you can't bring in alkaline chemistry, you're gone. At least from this place. So it's enough to say your focus should be appropriate. So you're going after the GI tract again, right? You're going to keep going because you want to go for 6 months to a year easy. Whatever your affordability is with the herbs, you can play with that. But you want to seriously think about regeneration and detoxification at least for 6 months to a year, if not longer. Yeah. Most of your tumors and stuff should be out of you within 6 months. Somebody said I said 3 or 4 months, but let me tell you, some people do get rid of tumors in 3 or 4 months. There was a lady that had 4 places. She got rid of all of them but one place. But that's not the norm. Some of you guys can work a year or more getting out tumors and stuff. Don't get upset. Every one of us is different in our kidney function, in our level of genetics in the cells, and also the degree of lymphatic stagnation. Don't get upset. This is into this situation for your learning lessons. Turn it around, gain control again, and learn what's causing this and get rid of it. Power it up. And that's what I'm offering you, is to learn how to get well and then learn how to free yourself from your earthly chains. And then you'll have a real good time. So your protocols are always going to include, always, as a base, 2 kidneys, one herbal, 1 tincture, if you can afford that. 2 lymphatics, one tincture, which is lymph nodes, and 1 capsule, which is going to be your lymphatics. Lymphatic 1 is I love that one. It is the good old boy. Lymphatic 5 and lymph node 5, be careful. They're butt kickers. That's the blood root, poke root. These are toxic herbs at high dosages. And they're not high dosages, and they're mixed with other ones. But they're also the tumor busters and the great blood root who pulls tumors right out of your body. And when you see a surgeon taking most of the throat away from somebody, I saw a guy that only had a little narrowness of the throat left. Had he originally pulled his tumors with black savage, he had his whole throat. Let me tell you, it's a big difference in the way you end up, depending on the choices you make. It doesn't hurt to take some time and try to figure things out. Figure it out like a jigsaw puzzle. The body's a jigsaw puzzle. Add digestion and all this stuff, the types of foods. What is our species? What kind of vertebrae are we? Are we animals that eat vegetables? What do they look like? Oh, horses, cows, elephants? Nah, it's not humans. Omnivores. Yeah, omnivores. Dogs, hogs, chickens, and bears. Oh, that's not humans. Carnivores. Oh, that's a cat family. Well, that's not us. What's the last category? The 4 basic vertebrates on the planet. Frugivores. Primates. All right? So, going back to protocols. Kidneys always, lymphatic always. Now, what controls the kidneys? The adrenal glands. Add another adrenal 400, 2-3 times a day. I would. You also want to add an endocrine gland formula. You want to bring your parasite M down. You want to bring your liver gallbladder down one more time. You want another month on that one. Let's see what else. So you got your kidneys, your lymphatics, you got your liver gallbladder. Now, if you've got neurological problems, you see nerve rings in your eyes, get on brain and nerve number 2. And if you're seeing lesions up here, and you got problems up here, upper circulation. Upper circulation of brain and nerve will enhance and waken you up. Now, I've told you story after story, even in Las Vegas stories, of what those herbs can do to your awareness and what they're doing to children worldwide in their awareness and their ability to comprehend and absorb and maintain. It's amazing. Remember, the nervous system controls everything, and if you're using, let's say, a pancreatic formula, and let's say with type 1, and you're not getting anywhere with enhancing beta cells, think neurologically. add a brain and nerve number 2 to that, because you can be a neurological type 1. I mean, this video can go on for hours and hours and hours, because there is so much to talk about. There's so many different levels to this. All right, so let's say you're a lung formula. You're a lung person. You have lung issues. You have tumors or a lot of congestion or bronchitis and pneumonias a lot. You can add the lungs formula to the protocol. You want to know the basic protocol. What's my basic protocol that I need to stay on to get me to Wellville? All right? All right, so that's what it is. Kidneys, lymphatics, an endocrine gland formula, work on the adrenals, clean the GI tract, maybe use parasite M4 to clean the fungus out. But now you start adding more specialty things. Upper circuit, brain and nerve if you need it. Lower circulation, if things are going on down in the lower body, you need to get going. If your legs are red and swollen, that's not poor circulation. That's kidney failure. That's lymphatic stagnation, not blood stagnation. It will become blood stagnation and gangrene when the lymph swells so much that it shuts off the capillaries and blood vessels. Yep, absolutely then. But it's not a blood problem, it's a lymphatic problem. And it's a kidney failure problem. Anytime you see swelling in the body, it's a lymphatic problem and kidney failure problem. Always. Congestive heart failure, pulmonary edema. All these things are edemic, this congestive lymphatic system. And we address that always, always, always. And you have to address the adrenal gland always. And we're doing it with a glandular, but now we're going to start changing this. As we enter our next month, now we're 2 weeks, 1 month, we're going into another month. I'm going to start getting rid of this glandular for you. But I'm also going to bring in the herbal adrenal gland formula. And if you have low blood pressure, I'm going to hitchhike licorice root to it. Because it is the one herb that will bring up blood pressure fast. And let me tell you, some of you guys need it because you're so chronic in your adrenals, you're just fatigued. And this program does not offer stimulants. I do not recommend stimulants. So a lot of people crash and burn when they go on a more energetic and chemically alive diet. They get more tired. Why? Because it's non-stimulating. You start to see the stimulation of proteins and what that means to you on long-term use. Acidosis, decay, and cancer. Well, what they call cancer. So real important to understand these things. You're moving into your next, and you always want a stomach and bowel formula. I highly recommend GI Broom. I made that to clean you up big time down there. It's I only have 2% of charcoal and bentonites. You don't have to worry about clays and locking. Most of these are astringents. They're sucking and pulling on your mucosa of your gut and trying to reach interstitially so I can open up some absorption, because malabsorption is a lymphatic problem. It's when the interstitial spaces of your gut wall is now stagnant of lymph. You can't absorb through that stagnation. Believe it or not, malabsorption is a lymphatic problem like everything else. So, when you realize how simple and easy, and that you have one main system down, and when you fix that system, look, everybody's getting their remedy. Because when I have inflammation in the liver, what part of the liver am I having trouble with? Interstitial. It's acidosis, no matter what. You can call it hepatitis, pancreatitis. It's all inflammatory. It's all acidosis. You can blame a viral or whatever. They come in and out. You know, these are proteins. Virals are proteins. Don't ever blame bacterium. Bacterium is your friends. Virals are just proteins with an attitude. Everything has consciousness to them. And viral loads can't be treated. There's not an herb. I don't care what Herbology says. I'm a master herbalist. There's not really any herbs for virals except lymphatic herbs. And there's no pharmaceuticals really for virals. These are proteins. They call them antivirals. But most antivirals are fatal event or pharmaceuticals. They'll kill your butt. So you have to be careful with antivirals. These are proteins, and you simply detox viruses out, whether it's HIV, Hep C, whatever viral they claim you have. All you got to do is detox them right out of your body. It's all you need to do. Herpes, whatever, it's the only one way. You can't kill proteins. Can't do it. And you'll notice that if you have herpes, you notice that they're dormant until you get what? Acidic. These things come out under the sky of acidosis. They disappear under the sky of alkalinity. Absolutely. Try it on your own. And that's true with corns and carbuncles and everything else you're talking about. All this stuff manifests within the world of acids. Moles, warts, all these things like this, where you have fermentation in the body and all these things like that. So, you can see where our gist is. But I need to get away from this glandulars. Now, let's stop a minute. We're right here. We're starting to leave our second month, our first month, excuse me. We've done our 2 weeks, our parasitic stuff and opening some doors. We're moving into the next month. Now, what about the next month? Now, I want to stop here for a minute, and this might be confusing to some, but a lot of you need this. Vital to understand this. This first attack insomnia, all right? That is acidosis and heavy lymph stagnation or genetic weakness in the pineal gland. Always comes with a chronic transverse colon. Now, upper circuit brain and nerve. Upper circuit brain and nerve, but there are pineal glandulars that you can use. And you take 1 or 2 caps 1 or 2 hours before sleep, I would, and that'll help you out. The glandulars are helping to enhance the cells of the gland, so it's a win-win-win. Upper circulation is moving oxygenated blood aggressively through these tissues. And if your blood is based because of all the good chemistry, it'll bring all that up there and fix and enhance, electrify, and hydrate the head area. And then you start to see your sinuses start to run. They're running. Oh, look at all this mucus coming out. Hydration is starting to take place. Acidosis locks that mucus into place and forms masses and tumors out of them. All right, so let's say, I kind of want to stop at this month to 2 months syndrome. Because this is when you have to learn just a little bit more. And if you've been following our videos, which thank you all so much for that, your learning is exquisite. And you guys know a lot more about the parathyroid and the cerebellum than most MDs. I love you guys. Excuse me. So let's look at skeletal and connective tissue problems. Let's look at depression, bruising easy, petechia. Let's look at those type of symptoms. We're at what gland? Most of you already know that follows us, because when you have these problems, you have skeletal problems, osteoporosis, osteopenia, whatever. You have connective tissue issues, whatever that is, sagging of anything, glands and organs sagging down, prolapsus everywhere, that sort of thing. Or depression, or bruising easy, things like this. That's a loss of calcium. Now, when you eat protein, believe this or not, you lose calcium, because protein is dominant of phosphorus, and phosphorus is the little brother in chemistry, not the big brother. So it has to be the big brother in tissue, not calcium. So what happens is there's so much phosphorus and nitrogen that you lose your calcium, so the blood becomes acidic and has to steal calcium out of its one layer of connective tissue. So what do you see? Herniation of the vascular walls. That is aneurysms, hernias, spider veins, varicose veins. These are serious problems, especially aneurysms. Remember, I've told you a lot of cases. I've seen a lot of deaths from them. It's been a lot of years in ERs. So this parathyroids you have parathyroids on each side and thyroids on each side. You just don't have one thyroid gland, you have 2. They claim you have 4 parathyroids. I don't know, 2, basically. 1 on each side. So remember, you have bilateralness. But your parathyroids produce parathormone, and it's essential to the utilization of calcium. Let's say you're a mama, you're pregnant, you're starting to give birth, a nice little baby, and now you're starting to get depressed. postpartum depression. You're not happy. You don't know what's going on. You just had a baby. You're not happy at all. Sometimes you're getting voices and hearing voices and things. Andrea Yates drowned 5 of her babies from an extreme chronic parathyroid weakness. They had no idea, and they were giving her antidepressants. And antidepressants just make all things worse. I mean, they can control things a little bit, but look at all the Columbines. Those are all antidepressant cases. So you want to really know what's causing this. And causative factors are going back to the calcium utilization. When a mother gives her calcium to the baby, but if you can't put it back, all these symptoms of depression, bruising easy, prolapses, uteruses falling down on bladders, bladders falling out of vaginal areas, not good. And there's a lot of ladies that have serious problems here, guys. So you have to understand what we do for that. So here's where I come in to interject this. And I've been telling you guys about the pituitary. You've got to look at the pituitary connection here, because the pituitary controls all the other ones down below. If you're short, or if you're a female with irregular menses, look at the pituitary. But best of all, learn to be an iris reader, to read your eyes. Simple, simple, easy, easy. And see if you have a pituitary problem, because that's when you have to bring in some herbs for the pituitary a little more. There's a few in the endocrine gland formula, but most of that is found in the pituitary formula. So what I would do in a case, and most of the time I see a parathyroid, I do see a pituitary. Not every time, but 90% of the time. So if I see a pituitary, I'm going to bring down a pituitary formula in either the month after the 2 weeks or the second month. I'm also going to add a parathyroid glandular, because you don't want to wait for herbs that are who knows what. They don't know about parathyroids in herbology. So you want a 50 milligram parathyroid tissue. You're in trouble in the worst kind of way, you forget about it. You want a glandular. And you could hitchhike the bones formula. You take 1 or 2, 3 times a day. That's TID. You want to also add a bones formula that's high in calcium, but also the consciousness of the herbs will with the osteoblasts, the consciousness of the cells of the bones. There's a whole other level of operation going on there. Besides a very mundane chemical level, you have a consciousness level, an intelligent and awareness level. Now, it's vital to look at that, because you want to enhance this. I would only do 1 month on that. Just 1 month. Take a break on a month and repeat that pituitary parathyroid syndrome again. Because you want to pull yourself out of depression. You want the bones to rebuild, connective tissue, everything to pull up, tone, and tighten. If you have hernias, the same way. If you have a hernia, go after the parathyroid. You have spider veins, varicose veins, go after the parathyroid gland. And stop putting proteins and acid-forming foods in your blood, which makes the blood steal calcium out of your little thin wall of connective tissue, and you lose your connective tissue integrity. Get it back, and all that stuff goes back to health again. You're not stuck. You can bring your body back in a state of wellness. Upper circuit brain and nerve, upper circuit brain and nerve. I start using that formula almost immediately, because everybody's got problems here at one level or another. If you've got ear problems, candle your ears. 3 or 4 candles per ear. Start opening everything up. Learn about these neural lymphatic points down your spine and down your sternum here. On each side where you feel the ribs coming in, those are your neurolymphatic points. We have charts to help you with that. And forgive me for going fast, but there's a lot to cover. And I have so many questions of people that are suffering out here I haven't been able to get to. It's so busy, so forgive me. It's been a while since I've done a video for you loved ones. I thank you for waiting on me. But these protocols are vital to you to understand that you use them. If your affordability is low, do the Fab 4 or 5. You always want to go after the kidneys. You always want to go after the endocrine glands. You always want to go after the lymphatic system. And you always want to go after the GI tract. Those are a factor on your program all the way to you go, I don't need anything anymore, I'm done. then you don't need those anymore. But that Fab 4 and 5 is essential in every protocol every month. The next month after that, you're still going to be on kidney formulas, lymphatic formulas, lymph node formulas. But this is when the next month, so we're 2 weeks, 1 month. Now this second month, I'm going to get rid of the liver gallbladder formula, and I'm going to exchange that for skin. Now, if I see a pancreatic weakness in their eye, or I know their food, they're not digesting carbohydrates, fruits, berries, melons, even vegetables. They see undigested foods in their stool. They get gassy, bloaty when they eat carbohydrates. I know it's a pancreatic problem. I'm going to put them on a pancreatic formula for a month, just to enhance the function of the pancreas and digestive enzymes and that like. So that starts to bring you on down in this rhythm of movement. If you're a lunger, you add lungs. If you need the liver gallbladder a little longer, you can use that a little longer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But the main focus is kidneys, adrenals, lymphatic systems, GI tracts, endocrine glands. That's your main focus because that's the central hub of how the body is. To do that, the types of food you need to eat will clean your blood perfectly. So you don't have to worry about the blood. It'll clean itself beautifully with fruits, berries, and melons. Not so much with vegetables. It will, but tend to thicken it a little bit. But the fruits, berries, and melons are the way. You have a stroke, fruits, berries, and melons. Let's say you had a stroke, post-stroke. I had a post-triple stroke once. Triple strokes. And the wife was an old retired black nurse. And her husband went down with triple strokes. She called me up. She says, my baby's dying. Triple strokes. They want me to go make funeral arrangements. I said, I'll be down and visit him. So I went into the hospital, and the medical doctor was there, and he looked at me and said, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm friends with the family. But they wanted her to make funeral arrangements, and I told her to have him put a feeding tube in him and get him home. And so she did. She put a feeding tube in him and got him home. 2 months. I had him sitting up counting his ABCs. Upper circuit brain and nerve, uno number 1, and why the stroke. You got to fix why. So when you see strokes and heart attacks, you're occluded. You're agglomerated. Wait a minute, what side of chemistry does that fall under? Those are the type of words you use under the acid side of chemistry. The base side of chemistry, the alkaline side of chemistry, is an anionic move. It's a hydrating, energetic move. It is a non-corrosive move. You can't have each side of chemistry causing the same problem. It doesn't work that way. Opposites. But opposites do attract. Ionization. Oh, how life works here. It'd be nice when you get to the point where you're looking for similarities. So you can use these botanicals for your good. That's what they're here for. And they're for specific tissues of the body. And there are herbs for fluids. There's herbs for the lymphatic system. America has some of the greatest herbs for the lymph system in the world. And a lot of them. That's why you see me have so many formulas. Although our illustrious pharmaceutical-owned FDA doesn't appreciate it much because they're pharmaceutical-owned. I hope the swamp's drained here in America. And they're one of the swamps. So I hope they're drained, because if they're not, somebody's going to drain them. You can't continue to go after the natural health people and the God people with a strong arm, with being stupid and touting yourself as a consumer protection agency, and you're allowing pharmaceuticals. I get worse pills, best pills all the time, and the drugs that the FDA allows are killing people right off. They have to allow them, and then they kill them off the market because too many people die from them. Is that a kind of protection agency you want to have? So let's look at where else we're going on this. We're going to keep going with kidney formulas. Now, filtration. Filtration. Do a 24-hour dry fast, no water, no food for 24 hours. But before you do that, you want to go on a fruit diet for a week and go on a fruit diet for a few days afterwards. You don't want to do any water fasting until you've been on raw foods for a while and detoxify a little bit for a while, or it's a little bumpy. Get your lymphatic system moving and stuff. One of the hardest things you're going to find is to get your kidneys to filter again. And the adrenal glands sit right on top and control them. They're your sodium-potassium pumps. They're your neurotransmitters for the kidneys, particularly the dopamines and acetylcholines. Not your, your adrenalines, of course, but those are your epinephrines and norepinephrine. Those are more. Those don't turn on the kidneys. Those shut down the kidneys. When you're ready to fight, your kidneys are shut down because all the power to all these tissues are going to your muscles. Well, if you're stressed out, you're always in an epi mode. You lose filtration. Your lower back goes, everything goes. As soon as you relax down, get your your dopamines going and everything. Now I can pee and I can poop. Traveling to Lisbon as often as I did there for a few years, I got stressed to the max. I just couldn't poop over there. I was just I hate flying anyway. All these hours in a plane, and I got so much energy. I can't sit for too long. Sitting for a 2-hour video or a 4-hour video is tough for me because there's so many things I've got going. That brings me to another point. Healing is a relaxation mode. You want to relax. No one said you had to do the hard time on this rock. Relax a little bit. But it's enough to say on these protocols, set yourself up on an herbal protocol with affordability in mind, but with the right focus on mind, that lymphatic system. Review our lymphatic videos. Understand the type of food you need to eat to get well. And I'm not saying you have to live on fruits, berries, and melons forever, but you certainly need to while you're getting well. And then balance out. That's okay. Nobody has to be a fruitarian. No one has to be all raw all the time. Nobody's with a club over you. This is an individual experience. What other type of problems do we have out there? Tumors are just part of the lymphatic system. And notice they're generally on one side or the other, but they'll all go down. When you cannot filter anymore, this system backs up head to toe. And this is the inflammatory system, the great lymphatic system. So learn that one. And there's nowhere you can Google it. We're the only source that can tell you. And I can just tell you that learning a little bit more about the body than medical thinking, you will be happy you did. And set that to the side. If you need an emergency, that's what they're for. If you need surgery, good surgeon, give them a big kiss. But not a medical doctor doesn't know what they're doing. Treating your problems and getting you into disease thinking and stuff, lock you away. Putting you on steroid creams, antibiotics, these things will kill you. You do not want to lock it. Most of man's problems actually are starting out of antibiotic use. You go back to penicillin and all that, we started having major problems after using that. Because it started suppressing lymph systems even more. Because pneumonias aren't a bacterial problem. They finally have broken now because they used to blame pneumonia on pneumococcus. Now it's pneumococcus pneumonia versus another type of pneumonia. Oh my God. The problem is bacterium has nothing to do with that. It's mucus, congestion. Bacteria is that's food. So it's the mucus and congestion that's the problem, isn't it? Isn't that what you're trying to get at? Isn't that what you see come out? Bacteria didn't create this. Not for a second. You did. Your mucosa did. Lining your bronchi and lungs and sinuses. When you consume chemistry your body didn't want. And you can feel it. I offer you this. Clean yourself out for a couple of weeks. And then get yourself a milkshake. Go on fruits. Get your lymph system clean. Get your kidneys filtering. Go have your milkshake. Tell me your experience. You're going to see where mucus comes from in the human body. and the trouble is getting it out. I've always said mucus in, mucus out. So we have to look at these things. We've been taught that eating dead animal meat is healthy. Who said that? Again, who are saying these things? You got to understand a lot of what you believe in is bullcrap. A lot of what you believe in is propaganda. It's coming from special interest groups that's trying to sell their products, like a little milk commercial. Tell me what's healthy about pasteurized milk from a cow. It can be your end. About a goat. Nothing. What about even humans' mother's milk? 1 year, ladies. These babies nowadays cannot handle over a year breastfeeding because of their lymphatic system. Move them into the fruit about 3 months, 4 months in, start moving them toward the fruit. And so you'll see some healthy babies. But what happens when you start eating fruit? You start hydrating, and then all this mucus starts releasing. You know, some people are coming with the head pressures so bad they can't take it. The glaucomic and head pressures. These are lymph pressures. There's no pill for those. So how do you do that? Hot and cold. Work on the neurolymphatics. Candle your ears. Get your kidneys filtering. That's the plug. And get the GI tract working. These are the plugs that drain the head. And now you can have a sense of awareness. You can start to smell again, see better, hear better, all these sort of things. Let's see what else we can put in here. We got our fibromyalgias, our arthritis, lupus, Lyme. That's all systemic acidosis. You know, the problem with the arthritis is you're at chronic levels. You know, when you get extreme acidosis, so much that you're paper thin, hard as a rock, and pain everywhere, you're in deep trouble. And I mean deep trouble. You have to turn this boat around, or it's just nothing there. And to turn yourself around is called hydration. It's called alkalinity. It's getting on the other side of chemistry. You've been living on the acid side too long. Get away and go to the base side. Go to the female side of chemistry where the love is and the healing is. Not all acids are bad. You have estrogen, testosterone. These are systemic acids, gonadal acids. Okay. But add estrogen dominance, testosterone dominance on top of lymph stagnation can be an exacerbator. What other scenario could you think of that would be like? How about chemotherapy? Taking a much hotter acid on top of already acidosis. You know, in law, that would be considered manslaughter. I'm serious. Because 90-some% of the people they claim get healed from it die from it. You know, it's funny where they get all their studies from. Those studies we're not privy to because we see the real studies and we get to see what's going on out there. I have client loads like nobody's business, thousands and thousands of people, so we get to see firsthand the effects of this stuff. In real time, not in bullshit time, in real time. And your lives are in danger. Let's see what else I can talk about in terms of problems. Vision problems and things like that. You want to dump the cerebellum, the optic nerve, swing around here, come in here where the actually connecting to the central and the autonomic. So when you see something, you have a fight or flight syndrome almost instantaneous. So it's cool stuff how the body's designed, but when acids back up into these tissues, it can create symptomology. And you know how many spaces of the body is there? You can have a symptom. You can have thousands of symptoms. Different symptoms with a different name for each one of them. Oh, how cute. And guess what? You fix them all the same. Ouch. That's got to hurt some people out there, like pharmaceutical thinkers and stuff. But you know what? Don't take my word for it. Take a look around. You beautiful beings on the YouTube have proved to the world these facts. Look at we get letters from you guys every day, and everybody's in there crying and hearing your stories, seeing your tumors. Ooh, it's a bitch. But you know, you got to be strong when you're dealing in stage 4s all the time. Some of this stuff isn't pretty, guys. Some of these people have half their face with tumors all over them and everything else, and it's not pretty out there. But no one got to them early to help them do it the right way. You know, I show this all the time, this poor soul. But this is one of the worst I've ever seen of breast tumors. Worst I've ever seen. Except for that one you guys see at school. Remember the one we pulled the black salve, it ended up being this big? Yeah. When John Hopkins almost didn't know what to do with. That one. Ladies are well alive today. Saved her. But her tumor ended up being this big and this thick and nasty. That was nasty. Nasty, nasty, nasty. I couldn't get it off with blood root. So John Hopkins had to cut it off. At least the surgeon there did. Thank God. Maggot therapy would have worked. You know, man needs to learn more about maggot therapy with these tumors, because you put maggots in your tumors, they'll eat it all up for you. And I'm surprised that they're killing so many people when we can just use maggot therapy for these tumors. They do over some of these New Guineas and some of these places, the ladies get tumors, they just use maggots to clean them. So I don't know why we're not, thinking about those sort of things, because a lot of ladies go through hellville when they don't have to, because of the hands of the unconscious. And we have to be more conscious, because man's killing himself off the planet here, and the human species isn't doing well. Well, we're going to turn that around, aren't we? Absolutely. So strict up. I don't care if you're a cowboy, and I don't care if you're a Muslim, and I don't care if you're black, and I don't care if you're from another planet. As long as you have a physical body, there's certain laws you have to follow and certain ways to get well. So no matter what you're used to eating, you have to change that. If you sit there, I'm not going to change my diet, well, enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. It's your ride. Now, a lot of people have drug toxicity and heavy metal toxicity, right? Well, there is chelation therapy and things like that. All right, but detoxification is, I don't trust messing with the blood with chemistry, not man's way. Detoxification will simply clean the lymph system, and that's where most of your chemicals are stored. Blood might have some flowing through, but your lymph system is where most of the arsenic and lead and all this stuff is stored. And of course, your neurotoxins of mercury and aluminum. These are neurotoxins. They can attach to neurons, and you have to detoxify them out of the body. Now, if you're working with lung issues and stuff, let's look at asthma, COPD. Asthma is the first stage of COPD. Then you have emphysema and what they call full-fledged COPD. You're carrying a little oxygen around. They're different than pneumonia. Pneumonia is just congestion. However, your COPDers are also neurological. You always will have an adrenal gland weakness with everything from asthma up. Always. So you have to always address the adrenal glands with those conditions and the brain and nervous system. You must enhance your nervous system, because notice how you can't get air out and stuff. So breathing is a neurological event, as well as the heart pumping and the bowel moving. And that's the autonomic event. And that is the adrenal gland event with neurotransmitters. So you have to make sure your adrenals up. The lower the adrenals, the lower the neurotransmitters. That's the lower the blood pressure. The more laborious it is with shortness of breath, heart arrhythmias, things like that. You add a parathyroid, and you add an adrenal weakness. That's AFib, atrial fibrillation. So when you start affecting the nervous system in the heart, and another thing that affects the nervous system in the heart is what? The lymphatic system in the heart. When your lymphatic system, when the kidneys stop to filter, the whole system on that side stops filtering. The skin is your only way out, and you'll begin to excessively sweat. When you excessively sweat, that means your kidneys are not filtering at all. And your skin is taking up for it. Let's say that you have a thyroid weakness and you can't even sweat to make up the difference. Now your kidneys are not filtering and you're not sweating. Those are the real bad lymphatic people and the chronic lymphatic people. And there's a lot of them out there. That's why you must understand the skin is a vital eliminative organ of the lymphatic system, and must always be able to breathe. See what else we can throw in here, because it doesn't matter where you have tumors, it's all the lymphatic system. Now if you have, let's say you have a couple of tumors, one in the liver and one in the brain, you're going to see your liver tumor go first, and then the brain tumor. If you've got a tumor that's just not going, or it's excessively hard, you might want to think about a black salve to pull it. I remember this one lady complained to the FDA about black salve because she put it on her nose. I don't know if she put it all over her nose or she did it wrong or whatever, but it took a big piece of her nose off. And I just wanted to tell her, honey, if you'd have went to a surgeon, you probably wouldn't have had a nose. The blood root only pulls the cancer cells out, the cells that are at a state of atrophy. It doesn't pull healthy cells out of the human body. There's a certain level of frequency the blood root will pull a cell out, and that's it. And it pulls the lymph system out with it. It opens up that doorway. It's a lymph puller. And generally in the lymph system, if the lymph system interstitially is backed up around a bunch of cells, most of those cells are going to be chewed up. It's all acids. Doesn't mean your body can't rebuild them. So real important to understand these things before you start treating something no one understands with toxic acidosis that kills you. Well, where did you gain anything from that? Nothing. So you want to put faith where faith belongs, and that's in your own hands. You know, God will lead you if you open yourself to the truth. You want to know the truth of things, you ask for that, and you will be shown. But be careful what you ask for. I hear that one all the time. Anyway, with the lungs, you also want to clean out the congestion, because you're always going to have congestion with the lung conditions, even the COPD. Quads and paraplegics of all types. All right? You want to get these people out of wheelchairs. All right? And you can get them out of wheelchairs. Done it for years. You can get them out of wheelchairs. So, same thing. You can have 2 spinal cord injuries, same injury, same level. This person gets up and walks off. This person is down for life. What's the difference? The lymphatic system. And with that lymphatic system, I'm also including the adrenal glands. When the adrenal glands are down, the myelin sheaths go down. Trauma to that, hard to rebuild. So when you see spinal cord injuries or any neurological injuries, it depends on the state of the adrenals and the autonomic nervous system to your experience from that on. So what am I going to work on with those guys? I'm going to go after that system. I'm going to go after the kidneys. I'm going to go after the lymphatic system. I'm going to go after the adrenal glands. I'm going to go after the nervous system, so brain and nerve, upper circulation, lower circulation. I'm going after these people. I'm going to enhance the nervous system. I'm going to rebuild it for them. I need to rebuild the adrenals, get all the acidosis, because they could have been down years, and their body's just being sedentary. They got bed sores. They have all kinds of stuff. So we're going to clean them out of all this acidosis and start rebuilding them and getting walking again. And that is a reality. That isn't a dream. Let me see what else I can throw in here. Going back to strokes and heart attacks. When you're acidic, the body has to stop this. And lipids are the greatest way to stop this, because lipids are like big mamas, big alkaline mamas. They can stop an acid. Basic electrolytes, they'll burn up quite a bit. But a big mama lipid, it'll come in and sit right down. That's why your lymph system is a lipid-based system, right? So this is why you have lipid problems when you have stagnation of that septum. And what lipid problems do we see? LDL specifically, because HDL is in the cell wall with phospholipids. That protects the cell from the interstitial spaces from the acids blowing back. So HDL is protecting the cell wall with phospholipids, and your LDL is in the interstitial fluids. So you'll see more of that. Now, it's in a balanced state. Your adrenal steroids of cortisol and progesterone, all your base steroids can be used to fight acidosis. Doesn't matter. That's what medical doctors do. But you don't want to use the pharmaceutical steroids because they're acidic. And that's, when you see acetate behind a steroid, what's your thought? So, enough to say you want the body's natural steroids. Well, those are the adrenal glands, and my adrenal glands are down. So again, you're always working on your adrenal glands. And your kidneys. Enough said, right? All right. So, when your lymph system becomes stagnant, and you get all this acidosis, and your adrenals are down, cholesterol starts coming in directly, plaquing up, trying to. Now, cholesterol doesn't plaque on the artery walls. That's a lie that medical doctors tell, and you will see it in the video for Lipitor. And now the Crestor people change their videos appropriately. Now they understand that cholesterol builds up interstitially, that little layer there, and fattens the wall. Not on the wall, in the wall. What is in the wall of the vascular system? Even the vascular system is made, the vascular walls are cells and have to eliminate their waste. So you have a little lymphatic system in the wall of your vascular system. They piggyback on it in most places. That's how they found, that's why they didn't find it before in the brain, is that the lymphatic system piggyback the veins or the arteries in the head. And when you're dead, you don't see them anymore. So they've never seen them. Now they saw them. You don't always have to see but you can always know. Knowingness, people are afraid on this planet of knowingness because they're so used to academics, they're so used to the mind, they're scared to be free and conscious. They got to cling on to thoughts. That's pseudo thinking. That'll lock you here. Heart attacks the same way. Now, you got two types of strokes and heart attacks: lipid blockage and calcium blockage. Stenosis, hardening of the arteries. Because what's the second form of protection the body goes for in acidosis? Calcium. It'll suck it right out of you. And you'll see it every time. Look at a smoker. A smoker, be careful with you weed smokers too. The smoker, all this is combustion brings acids. And whenever you breathe acids into the blood, faster than the blood can alkalize itself by stealing calcium out of its walls, 3 minutes, pretty much all you need, because you're going out. You're going out. You know, that's the problem. You get a little base in there, and it'll save you. Well, the body's trying to, inside of itself, deal with this acidosis, so it'll ravish you of calcium. So that's what you see. You see the skin wrinkling, puckering, the veins sticking out, the bones failing and snapping and cracking and popping. You're being ravished of calcium because you're too acidic. So what do? You simply get on the other side of chemistry. You don't sit there and go to pharmaceutical world. What kind of deadly pharmaceuticals and crap like that can I take? Those are for emergencies, not for long-term use whatsoever, and most of them need to be terminated. They're too toxic. But we have a government agency that is owned by the pharmaceutical world. And if you don't like that FDA, then turn your consciousness around, because it'll have to turn anyways. But I want you to always remember that 99.9999% of man's symptomology is on the acid side of chemistry. You can have alkalosis, but rarely so. That makes you lightheaded, seizures, chilblains, things like that can happen then. But on the acid side, it is totally corrosive. It'll rip you apart, break you down, and put you back into fetal position again, and send you out of the body, and then take your body and put it back in the atomic structure again. And it's happening everywhere. Stop it. Realize you're a frugivore, and at least move your body into a diet of raw fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables. And then if you want to dig deeper, get rid of the veggies. Learn about dry fasting, water fasting if you want. Learn about the botanicals. God put them there for you and your body. They're for cells of your body and the fluids of the body. They're not for diseases. Man made disease concepts up. Skin conditions are abounding everywhere. All right? I get letters from you young guys and gals that have been on steroids and Accutane and all the crap that have killed several people. It's horrible. Skin, third kidney, lymphatic system. What you see on the skin means your other two kidneys aren't filtering well. And all you young guys and gals, we're entering a world of very serious kidney and adrenal weaknesses for the youth. Sad stuff. And you guys are getting it and working them out of it. And I have so much respect for you young guys and gals. You guys are turning it around, and you need to do that, because you're the future of this planet, and this planet needs your awareness. It needs to break itself up out of this morass of ignorance and of disease concepts and stupidity like that, and get with truth and understand how you fix the human body. There's a lot more to do than eating. Yep. So, again, that protocol, that main protocol we have, take a look at our 14-week protocol and look at the herbs in it. See that flow that I have there. If you have a special area or tissue that's involved, spleen, use a spleen formula. Bone marrow with all the leukemias, use our bone marrow formula. I've made these formulas to address all the systems of the body. Remember, the body's in systems. Not just individual organs and glands, systems of organs and glands. And you want to work on systems. And it's all interconnected anyway. That's why don't just half-ass the herbs. If you can't afford them, you can always write in and see if we have enough money in our accounts for that, and have us help you. If you have barely enough to afford the Fab 4 or 5, kidneys, adrenals, or endocrine gland, lymphatics, and stomach and bowels, always address this major part of the human body. Then you can spring of liver, gallbladder for a while, jump to the skin for a while. You can add parasitic formulas, lung formulas, spleen, nerve formulas, things like that to that. But keep that center drive, that center focus, because you're after that lymph system. Because if you have nerve problems, why do you have nerve problems? It will always take you back to the acid-base system of the lymph, because that's the corrosive system that causes problems, not the blood. The blood is innocent and base dominant. We mess with the blood because we eat acid-forming foods and starches and crap like that. And that taints and acidifies the blood. Well, you can't mess with the blood. That's one thing you don't want to do, is mess with your blood. I'm real respectful of the blood. Vitally so. That's why I'm after the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, and cleaning up the blood. But the gigantic problem is the sewer system in the human body. Your lymphatic system is the sewer system. The immune system, the main immune system. It is the lipid carrier system. It is the cushioning system, synovial fluids and the like, eye fluids. It's all your lipid-based fluids. It's your protection fluids. So learn that system, a good system.